So this is the Khan Academy where we actually have a number in front here, right? We have a 6 in front. So we didn't have numbers here before, and they're a little bit easier. So we have to do all the steps to make sure we're doing to get the right answers here. Now, if you get stuck throughout these, remember there's always a video right here where it says, "Are you stuck?" And you can watch the video, and it will definitely help. Okay, but do not try to guess your way through these. It will make you frustrated. You maybe give up. So remember, when we're doing the x, it's going to be a times c on top, and b is on the bottom. So the a, c, and b, that stands for the numbers here. This is a, this is b, and this is c. Right? So you see a times c, that's these two, the first and the last. So 6 times 6 is 36. And then on the b on the bottom, right, is negative 13. So what two numbers multiply to 36? They have to multiply to the top, right, and they have to add to the bottom. So what two numbers multiply to 36 and add to negative 13? So this one's a little easier because you know the factors of 36 pretty well, 9 and 4, right? Those multiply to 36, but they need to add to a negative 13. So the only way to do that is if these are both negative, right? So now negative 9 and negative 4 is negative 13. And you're still safe above because a negative times a negative is a positive. Right? So this is your step 1. You want to do this, right? Step A. Okay, do this. We'll call this the attic basement. Because the AC is like the attic, goes on top, and the B is on the bottom, called the basement. So the attic and the basement. AC on top with the B on the bottom. Okay. From there, there's two ways you can do this. You can either do the reverse distributive property, which is factoring, or you can use the box. I'll show the box first. Okay. So with the box, set up like this, the 4 square. Okay. And your first term, your A, goes up here, and your last term, your C, goes right here, positive 6. Okay. And on the inside, the reason we did this whole X is to get these two missing. So we only have one number, which is negative 13, which we only put negative 13 here. We couldn't finish because the box isn't filled out. But by breaking negative 13 up into negative 4x and negative 9x, set that backwards, okay, now the box is filled out and I can complete this. Alright, so that's B. Okay, fill out the box. Okay. C is actually to complete the box. Now, we're going to be left with stuff on the top here and on the bottom here, I mean on the side here, and those are your answers. So whatever I'm left with up top here and down here, that's going to be final answer. Okay, so my final answer is going to be written like this in parentheses. So there's several ways to do this. First, you got to do a factor. So what is the factor of 6 and 4? What's the biggest number that goes into 6 and 4? So well, not 6 because 6 can't go into 4. Not 4 because 4 can't go into 6. So it has to be a smaller number than both of them. And then you'll arrive at the answer of 2. 2 goes into 6, and 2 goes into 4. Now they both have an x in common as well. So we want to take that out as well. So that was called factoring. I basically did, well, what's the biggest number that goes into both? All right? Then you can do the same thing for the column. What's the biggest number that goes into 4 and negative 9? And you'll get 3. 3 goes into both of them. And again, they both have an x. Now you can do a check to see how you're doing so far. Now does 2x times 3x equal this? Okay, and that is true. Okay? 6x squared does equal 3x times 2x. So there's a check built in on every step. So now we can do what's the biggest number that 9 and 6 have in common. And you come up with 3. And also 3x times 3 equals, well, almost equals negative 9, so I need to make this a negative 3 to make it true. So that's why I check everything to make sure it's accurate. So 3x times negative 3 is negative 9x. And now we have, lastly, negative 3 times what is 6x, or 6. You'll get -2. Okay? And 2 is also the biggest number you can take out of 4 and 6. So you see it's built in to be able to check your box as you're going along. Now I'm going to write my answer in no particular order. 2x minus 3. No. And 3x minus 2. These can be in either order. Doesn't matter which one's first or second. But that's the steps you need to go through. When you have a number in front, you absolutely have to go through all of these. Now, if you, on the homework on the front side that we did earlier, I had you show all this work as well. So if you did that on the front, it's the exact same on the back. But if you took shortcuts on the front, this is going to seem like it's a lot more work when really it's the same amount. So in any particular order, doesn't matter. I can type this in. So I'll just type it in the other order, 3x minus 2 and 2x minus 3. Because it doesn't matter. There we go. Okay. Here's another type where you really don't have to type it in yourself. You just have to do like a multiple choice. So once you get the hang of this, though, you'll see that it's not too bad. What multiplies to -10 multiplies to 9. Right? You'll come up with 10 and 1 and multiply it to 10, but you need a negative here to make it -10, and then 10 minus 1 is 9. Alright, so then I'm going to take my first and last term, those go in the box. In the same position, up here will be the 2x squared, down here will be the -5, right? And then the numbers I got from my x over here, those are what go in the other two. And then we can do the factoring. So the only thing that these have in common is an x. Right? There's no numbers in common. And these have in common that they both have 2, because 2 goes into 2, 2 goes into 10. 2, and then they also have an x, and you can check. 2x times x equals 2x squared. 2x times what equals 10x? I'll come up with 5. Right? And that's also what these two have in common. So there's two ways of making sure you have the right number here. Does it multiply? Right? And is it the factor of the row or column? So you can double check as you're going along. So you can say 5 times what is -5 and get a number. Or you can say, what do these two have in common? And it's the same answer. Right? So 5 times -1 is -5. But that's also what these have in common. They both have a negative in common, so that would be a -1. So there's your answer, x plus 5 and 2x minus 1 in no particular order. 2x minus 1, x plus 5, right there. There we go. And this one's more of the same. Now you can see here that numbers might get a little bigger. Right, so here it's 7 times -10, -70, right, and -33. So you have to find two numbers that multiply to -70 and add to 33. Okay, so you might go through some of the typical things like 7 times 10, but those don't add or subtract to 33, so that can't be it. And then after a while, you might get to 2 and 35. Right? And those definitely can add and subtract to 33. Because 35 and 2 will make 33. So I like just to figure out the numbers, right? Put them in, and then figure out the signs afterwards. So if I need to add these and get a -33, right? If I do this, I'll have positive 33. 35 minus 2 would be positive 33. So that means I need to move the negative over here. -35 plus 2 is -33, and 2 times -35 is -70. So you might have to go through a list until you figure out, well, what two numbers actually work. Calculator is very useful. So you can tell if you couldn't figure out, like, how many times does 2 go into 70 really fast, Well, if you punch in a calculator, it will be. So use a calculator there. And then we can finish it up, make the box. So we have here. And we'll use 7x squared. And we'll use -10. My other two numbers will be right here. So I'll have 2x and -35x. Alright, and do some factoring. So what's the biggest number that goes into 7 and 35? You'll get 7. And then they both have an x. So let's take that out as well. And then the biggest number of 2 and 7 is just 1, so nothing to take out there, but they both have an x. So we can take out an x, and then you can check, does 7x times x equal this? And it does. And then you can keep on going with the factoring, or you can just multiply. 2x times what equals 2x, and you'll get 2. That's the same number you would have gotten if you did the factoring. What's the biggest number that goes into 2 and -10? That's positive 2. 2 times what is -10? You'll get -5. And then what's the biggest number that goes into 35 and 10? That would be 5. And they both have a negative, so that's why it's -5. So a couple ways of checking your work to make sure you're doing it right as you go. And then you get to here, and let's see here, x minus 5 and 7x plus 2. And there we go. And then once you're finished, you'll get this thing that says you've practiced, and that's how you know you're done. So I hope that helps. And definitely show your work on the whiteboard or a piece of paper. Do not try to do this in your head. It will just drive you crazy because you'll make small mistakes over and over. When you have questions like this, don't forget that you actually have to put in the parentheses. Okay. So on this one, you'll actually have to show the parentheses and everything. Okay, good luck.